All right, so we've already gone through the female sexual cycle once. This is just a different image. These are just different slides. We'll go through it one more time, maybe a little more quickly. Now, on this particular image, we're seeing not just what I showed you on the last one. On the last one, we had, sorry. On the last one, we had the hormones that were made, what was going on in the ovary, the hormones made by the ovary, and then we had what the endometrium was doing. What are we looking at here? A little bit different. Here, what we're looking at is what is the anterior pituitary doing? And then we've got what are the events in the ovary? So I told you that there's going to be this little surge of luteinizing hormone from the anterior pituitary that is going to be the cause of ovulation. And what causes that surge of luteinizing hormone? It actually is when estrogen levels get up to a certain peak. So on menstruation, that will be days like 1 to about 5, right? And during that time, one of those primordial follicles gets to be the next one that's going to be ovulated. She's so excited. She's got her posse around her, and they start making estrogen. And so during these first 2 weeks, the first half of the reproductive cycle is the follicular phase. And in the follicular phase, we go all the way up the development of the follicle, and mostly we've got estrogen being made by all of those pink cells there, depicted as pink. Then right here in the middle, we have got ovulation. Antrum. Yes, we got lots and lots of estrogen in the middle. We have ovulation. Now, the egg only has 24 hours to be fertilized or die. That's kind of a timetable, right? Now, these cells that are left behind, they turn into the corpus luteum, and now they start making progesterone. These cells that were left behind, they're just like the cells that go with her, but the cells that go with her, they've got another job to play. Now, it's going to be a while before the corpus luteum even expects to get word from a successful pregnancy. So it is just making progesterone and preparing the endometrium. It could be that the 24 hours has passed and that egg did not get fertilized and it's dead somewhere, right? It could be, but the corpus luteum doesn't know. So it goes ahead, keeps on making progesterone until the deadline passes. And it depends on the woman, but it'll be about 10 days before that corpus luteum gives up hope and quits making progesterone. The progesterone is not just preparing the uterus. I've been focusing on that. The other thing that this high level of progesterone does is it keeps there from being another ovulation. You see, we don't want to start one pregnancy in February and then get a different ovulation in March and then have another ovulation in March and then start another pregnancy in April, right? That's not the way we want to do it. So until the body knows that there's not a pregnancy this month, the production of progesterone suppresses the development of another follicle. Okay. Oh, and that's called the luteal phase because it's dominated by the corpus luteum and the hormone progesterone. Now, this is what's going on in a little more detail from the point of view of what's the hormones made by the ovary and the lining of the endometrium. The endometrium's got these two layers. It's got this basal layer that's called the stratum basalis, and it hangs around all the time. But then it's got this other layer that will grow and multiply and then get lots of glandular secretions and die. So it's got two different layers. From these first 5 days, the endometrial lining's dying and body's getting rid of it, comes out through the vagina. Then the endometrial lining starts being rebuilt by all of this estrogen that's being made. Now, right here, there's ovulation. the uterus is not ready to get a pregnancy. Holy cow. The uterus is like, no, 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 I still need another week. So hang on. So it's during that week that the corpus luteum will make lots of progesterone. The progesterone will finish preparing the endometrium for the arrival of a pregnancy. And it's not until the body has given up hope, and then progesterone levels fall, estrogen levels fall. This is what will cause the death of the endometrium, the inner layer of the endometrium. These little arteries that are providing blood, oxygen, glucose to all of these cells, they're called spiral arteries. And when progesterone and estrogen levels fall off really fast, they squeeze shut. And like these guys are like, oh, we don't get any blood. Oh, we're going to die. And that is called ischemia. Ischemia is when tissue dies due to being deprived of blood flow. Ischemia. Necrosis is cell death. So it's the stratum functionalis that's going to die, and then it comes off, and then we start over again. All righty. Menstruation. Let's see. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about if there is a successful pregnancy. So making an egg is called oogenesis. And when you got actually an ovum, then we call that an egg. Eggs are giant cells. You know, when you look at this picture right here, the one on the lower right, when you look at that, you might think to yourself, wow, what is with all those little tiny cells? No. Those little tiny cells, those are normal-sized human cells. This one here in the center, that's enormous. How big is it? Like this whole glump of the ovum with all of her cumulus cells around her, you could actually see that with the naked eye. If I had it floating in a petri dish, you could go, oh, yeah, I see that little thing. It's small, but you could see it. Now, if we zoom in a whole lot just on the ovum, just on the egg, it would look like that. So there she is inside, and she's done the beginning of this cell division thing. What is this around the outside? Do you see how it seems to have like this force field around the outside? Well, it's not a force field. That is called the zona pellucida. The zona pellucida is like a thick kind of protein jello that is covering the egg. That thick protein jello, the zona pellucida, is really important to how fertilization actually happens. So we will talk about that and fertilization in our next video.